Hello everyone, it's great to have you all on board. It's another time with Tutor Ayo, the enthusiastic tutor, and in today's tutorial, it's going to be a continuation on the course EDU233. All right, and in today's tutorial, we're going to be talking about the study plan. We're going to be talking about how important it is and why teacher should have one. Let's not forget, it's all about the teaching method. This being said, let's go straight into it. Okay, so we have Edu 233, Edu 233. Now, study plan. All right, the word planning, all right, keeps coming out in a lot of our courses. Like the last class we had, talking about strategy, how we can have a strategy for marketing, and I made them understand that strategy is synonymous to planning. All right, it's a blueprint of what you intend to do, although planning is more of futuristic. Now, let's come down to what we have for today's class. It says study plan. As a teacher, study plan means something else to a teacher and means a different thing entirely to a student. Okay, but the bottom line is, whether to a teacher or to the student, the study plan, like we all know, generally, when you talk about plan, we are talking about the intended action. Okay, the intended action. All right, the intended map. All right, the map to an intended action. Okay, the action hasn't been done, but is intended to be done. Okay, so basically, study plan is talks about what a student or a teacher intend to do, the strategy, the action of teacher or a student is intending to employ, right, when it comes to studying. So now there are types of studying plan. Okay, I want to start with the weekly. All right, I use the word study plan. It's actually lesson plan. All right, sorry about that. It's actually lesson plan, not study plan. Okay, I think I mixed it up. But basically, lesson or study. Lesson it has to do with the consistent. This is teacher eccentric now. It has to do with the consistent, all right, the continuous teaching, all right, teaching, all right, consistent and continuous activities that involve the transmission of knowledge from the teacher to the pupils. Now, speaking of the lesson plan and how a teacher intends to pass this knowledge, the strategy, the activities that will be involved in the transmitting of this knowledge or information consistently and continuously. That has to be the lesson plan. So there are different types of lesson plans. We want to start with that of the weekly lesson plan. All right, the weekly lesson plan. Now, the weekly lesson plan is a plan of the lesson to be taught within a week. Okay, the plan of the lesson, the plan of the lesson to be taught. All right, let me see how I can squeeze that in. The plan. Okay, my goodness, where is my? Just a moment. I think I mistakenly. Okay, now we have the plan of the lesson to be taught within. All right, thought within a week. Okay, now most school subjects are called on the school timetable more than once in a week, but basically a weekly lesson plan can afford the teacher the possibility of completing his syllabus. Okay, the intended action. Okay, how a teacher intend to ensure that his syllabus for a week. All right, days makes weeks, weeks make months, months make semesters. All right, so now breaking it down for the weekly lesson plan, it has to do with the lesson plan that covers just for a week. Also, we have the daily lesson plan. A daily lesson plan is a unit of lesson to be taught for a time duration of 30 to 45 minutes. Daily lesson plan. All right, a unit of a lesson plan. All right, a unit of a lesson. I beg your pardon. A unit of a lesson to be taught. All right, a unit of a lesson to be taught for a time duration. For a time duration. Okay, for a time duration which is usually between 30 to 45 minutes. 30 to 45 minutes. That's for the daily lesson plan. Now we have some justification for a daily lesson plan. Let's consider some justification, okay, for the DLP, is a daily lesson plan. Now, one of the justification is that it helps the tutor or the instructor or the teacher to avoid errors. Okay, when your work are properly planned ahead, okay, it helps you to avoid errors. That means as a tutor, you have what you are following. Okay, I think it's a little bit blurry. Permit me to quickly just clean it. Yeah, I think it's it's better now. It was a little bit blurry. Now, so some of the justifications, that's for the DLP justifications. We are talking about the daily lesson plan. Some of the justifications are to avoid error. To avoid error. Also, we have to avoid omissions, to prevent repetitions. All right, omission in the sense that skip some things that are important and repeating what has been taught before. All right, to avoid, all right, omissions. Okay, to avoid omissions. All right, to avoid repetition. All right, to avoid repetitions, omissions, error. Those are just few, but to mention. Please, as you join the stream, do well to say hello, hi, and also do well to smash the like button if you're yet to do that, and do well to subscribe to the channel if you are yet to do that. Now, what are the elements of a good lesson plan? What are the element of a good lesson plan? Let's consider some elements. What are the things you will see in a lesson plan that will make you know that okay, this is a good lesson plan? Now, it must be clear. All right. Every lesson must have a beginning. All right. Every lesson must have a beginning, middle, all right, and ending. Okay. Beginning. Every lesson must have a beginning, middle, and ending. All right. Every lesson plan. Now, lesson notes are detailed of work to be done in one lesson. They are also meant to guide the teacher's method of delivery. All right, detailed. All right, guide teaching. My goodness, method. Just a moment, please. Just a moment. I will fix this in no time. Okay, yeah. Let there be light, and there was light. I think that's better. That's manageable. Okay. I think one more should do. Let me get my. It's been crazy lately with electricity, and most time I run on generator. It's been crazy. This lately it's been crazy with electricity. All right. Regularly we do have power supply, but these few days it's been so much. The fuel of 6,000 I got, I think that's my 20 liters, if I'm not mistaken. I have my reserve in generator set now. I need immediately after this class, I need to get more fuel because I have two more classes just after this class. I can't depend on this inconsistent set of people. All right. So now let's just continue. Like we have it here, element of good lesson plan. We have it must have a beginning, middle, and ending. It must be detailed, and it must guide the tutor teaching method. So we also have division of lessons. All right, division of lessons. We have it into 4 different places. All right, 4 division of lessons. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the first part is the introduction. All right. The second part is the development. The third part is the conclusion. All right. And the fourth part is summary and evaluation. Summary and evaluation. Okay. Now let's quickly dissect this. When it comes to introduction, what are we saying in essence? Now, a good lesson plan begins with good introduction, which is interesting and could arouse students' interest and attention. Okay? The introduction is responsible for arousing, whetting the appetite for learning of the students. So it must be impressive, it must be precise, and it must be short. Like I said, introduction. Now, it should present the problem to be answered during the lesson. One of the things that introduction does is that it presents the answer. All right, presents the problem. Definitely, when it comes to learning, you're trying to pass a knowledge. All right, knowledge about certain thing. So introduction should entail presenting that which you want, that question you want to answer, all right, or that problem you want to discuss with the students. So the introduction part of your lesson plan should present the problem to be answered. It should be able to tell what the lesson is all about. All right, the introduction should be able to do that. It should also be able to aid, all right, should make use of teaching aids like pictures and diagram. All right, if there's need, pictures and diagram. So it should be able to have questions that can be used to resolve the work covered. All right, questions to revise the work covered. But basically, when we say introduction, all right, it should, the very first point, which is it should be able to present the problem to be answered and also tell what the lesson is all about. That is the cocoa. All right, introduction. Now we have development. Development is the body of the lesson. All right, body of the lesson. Okay, development is the body of the lesson, and it is a period of exposition when the teacher teaches new materials, and this could come from different. Now basically, development is the body. All right, you have been introduced to what you want to learn, so you begin to do some exposition, begin to dissect, begin to break down, analyze, and things like that. Now, so we have that as that. Now we also have evaluation. Okay, now before the summary and before this we have conclusion. All right. Now, from the part of conclusion, you've introduced the students to what you intend to pass across. Then you have elaborated on what you are passing across in detail. Now you need to bring to conclusion that which you have introduced. Thereafter, conclusion is different from summary. All right, summary is bringing everything, a bit of everything you have thought, bringing it together is summary. Conclusion is you are bringing your words to an end. All right, so there is a thing different between conclusion and summary. Okay, but they are not the same thing. Now, the evaluation part of it is the last stage of the lesson. It deals with finding out the exact, all right, the extent to which the teacher has succeeded. All right, evaluation is finding out the extent to which the message you have passed across, all right, the extent to which it has been successful in comprehension. Now, this is when you know, okay, the knowledge I'm trying to pass, do they understand? Right? It's at this point you get to know whereby the students understand what exactly you are trying to pass across. All right. And to know this, you have to throw questions. I don't want to say jabs, all right, but you have to throw questions that averagely they should be able to respond, and which is on the basis of what you have just taught. All right. Evaluation is when you measure the success of that knowledge or that thing you are trying to pass across. Okay. And there's the last, all right, is the last part. Now we have that as that. So very quickly, let's touch on the school timetable. Okay, like we have it timetable. It's a schedule, all right, for when classes are to be held. Okay, the timetable indicates what each teachers and each student is to do at a given time. All right, indicates what we have each teachers and students are to do, all right, at a given, all right, at a given timetable. That's okay. That's each teacher and each student is to do at a given period. All right, teachers and students are okay. Teachers and students are to do at a given time. Okay, basically that's a more elaborate, all right, that's an elaborate definition of timetable. Specifies what this teacher is to do at a given time and the student, in the sense that the way it affects the teacher, it also affects the student, because if a teacher is expected to have a class at also time, the students are also expected to be in the class before that time, composed and waiting for the teacher's arrival. All right, so it's a two-way thing. It affects both the teacher and the students. Okay, now we have that as that. The value of the timetable, according to Adeyemo in 1985, Adeyemo outlined the significance of the school timetable. All right, a few of them are: one, it regulates teaching adequately by paying attention to all subjects. So let's talk about the value of the school timetable. So we have regulates teaching. Okay, it regulates teaching adequately. All right, it prevents waste of time. Prevents waste of time. It prevents waste of time, and it ensures enough periods are allocated for each subject. All right, it helps to inform habits of order and regular work. All right, timetable will say, okay, on Tuesday 5 times, on Tuesday, on Monday 3 times. So at least you know that every day there is this particular amount of time apportioned for studying. So it encourages the habit of being orderly. All right, it encourages the habit of being orderly and regular work. All right, the habit of being orderly, all right, and regular work. So now we have that as that. Now let's quickly touch on teaching method. Permit me to raise the board so we can touch on that very quickly. Teaching method. Now, when we talk about teaching method, what are we talking about? Teaching method. Okay. Miss Agnes, this is not your course, so good evening. This is not your course. This is the Department of Early Childhood Education. All right. Your course will be after this class. I will drop you a message. I think the time for your class will be rescheduled because I need to go get gas for tonight's class. Electricity has been crazy lately. So we have teaching method is very it's very important in the impartation of knowledge. All right. Teaching method is simply talking about the way and manner, all right, the applied or the chosen manner which the teacher employs, all right, in passing of knowledge. And it's very, very important, okay, because in teaching learning, all right, in this teaching learning process, there are types of adopted, all right, there are types of method adopted that will determine the result that will be achieved. Okay, now let's talk about teaching method has been defined by Afolabi and Adesopo in 2010 as a specific instructional process. A specific instructional process. Okay, a specific instructional process which differs from any other by diversity of specialized activity, which differs from, I beg your pardon, differs from any other, by the diversities of specialized activities. By the diversities of any specialized activities. Like I said earlier, every teacher, lecturer, professor, they have their teaching method and it differs from any other. All right. Two persons cannot have the same teaching method. All right. And there are varieties of them. So we're going to take some of them now, and hopefully in our next class, we should be able to conclude on what teaching methods are. Okay. So to start with, I think we are running low on, let me on the next one. Yeah, I think it's better now. Okay, but this one is reflecting on the board, which I don't like. Okay, I think I should put this here. Yeah, I think it's better now. Yeah, it's better now. So, okay, but my shadow. Oh, it's still reflection. Let me just keep it here. I think it's better here, so it doesn't reflect. So now let's take some teaching methods. Now let's permit me to list them so we can now take them one after the other. Okay, we have the what are the types. We have the lecture method. Lecture method. This lecture method, you are probably familiar with this teaching dominated approach. All right. Hence, it is termed a dictate. All right. It is termed a dictative method. And this is the most common one, especially in universities. Dictative. One thing that surprises me a lot, do you know, apart from students in the national universities of Nigeria, apart from students even in Nigeria, I've seen some comments on my videos like, I love the way you teach. Like you make it look so easy. Because you see, in universities, lecturers don't have time to give us, very few of them actually. That's why I said teaching method varies. Some lecturers don't mind in taking their time in explaining, all right, or proving a point, explaining, giving details of a particular point. While some, they'll just come, have one or two sentences on the board, and you'll be asked to go and make your research. Okay? So this particular method is the most common type of method, which is the lecture method. Okay? And it is said to be the dictative method. All right? That's oh, thank God. Dictative method. All right. Permit me to switch off my lamps and connect them back again. Yeah, my backups. Okay. So as I was saying, it is more like you are being dictated. The words and everything are being dictated. It involves the verbal presentation of ideas. Verbal presentation of ideas. Okay, so we have that as that. And some of the advantage of this method is that this method is actually very cheap. All right, ADV is very cheap to operate. It makes fewer demands of the teacher. It doesn't stress the teacher. All right, fewer demand of the teacher. It doesn't stress the teacher because it's easy to just do. And in an efficient means of giving the vast amount of knowledge in a limited amount of time, give vast amount of knowledge, vast amount of knowledge in a limited time. Okay, and the disadvantage, this ADV, is that students are passive listeners and do not participate in development of the lessons. All right, students only pay attention, passive and not active. All right, because they're not going to understand the in-depth. All right, they're not going to get the concept. They just get things on a superficial level. Desired learning outcome might not be achieved. That's very true. Because not everybody will understand. People that will understand are people that will go back home and do further research. That's how they will get the point. Alright, you cannot measure student progress. Alright, you can't measure it during the lesson because they are passive listeners. So in our next class, we'll continue from discussion method. Discussion, let me just highlight that. Next class. All right, so thank you very much, everyone. I believe we've been able to gain a thing or two. Please, let's do submit our note to the appropriate quarters, and I look forward to seeing all the subsequent tutorials. Bye bye.